I'm just going to share my thoughts. See, you have good command over what you have done, what you're saying, what you're talking about. You know your stuff. I didn't go deep into economics because your CV covers that. So I'm not going to question you, and I'm not going to say, okay, can you draw the demand curve and aggregate supply curve and all that. So I didn't go through that.
Somehow I actually, honestly, I have still now I've given 6 interviews. So it is Rohtak, CAP, Lucknow, Bangalore, Amritsar, and XLRI HRF. So okay, XLRI HRF I can discount. In neither of these 5 interviews, I got asked a single question in economics.
Correct. Because your CV doesn't say economics; it screams out economics.
Pretty much, I'm assuming that's the case.
So that comes out. So I'm not worried that they'll ask you tons of economic questions. More than that, I'm sure that if they ask you, that's homegrown.
Yeah, that is, I can do it. Yes,
that's homegrown. The one question that's going to get asked in several iterations, which is why I wanted to continuously poke you on different things. Is, okay, why do you want to do an MBA, and how will you fit in here?
Yeah.
You're being refreshingly honest, which is good. But a couple of things I want you to think about is that everybody likes to hear a yay vote rather than a no vote. It seems to me like you're saying, look, I had a couple of doors and then I had 3 more and they all shut down. And then I'm looking at this nice door called MBA. Why not give it a shot?
Okay. I get it.
Which is refreshingly honest. But I want you to spin it in some way where you say, look, I'm looking forward to this. I'm taking this up as a new challenge, and then come back to it. There's one other thing that I want you to fix, in the sense that where you said, I tried teaching and I realized that this was just not the path. Teaching didn't give me anything, which is completely fine. But you have to keep in mind that you're going to be talking to 3 professors. So you'll have to dial that down as well. You don't say teaching is, I didn't get any kicks from it. Completely uninspiring.
Well, okay. So like, I know. So in a sense that what I have had a very large variety of very good teachers in my life, and I'm including you in that one simply because I spent a lot of time during my CAT preparation looking at 2IIM's past CAT exams.
Okay.
And in a lot of solutions, you are there. So you are the one with explaining a lot of solutions. So I have had my share of very good teachers and not so good teachers also. So I know the difference. The thing I only wanted to, like, in a sense, I wanted to project was that even though I got decent marks for the teaching evaluation, I managed to do my job to a reasonable level. That is something it took me not just the effort part. It because if it doesn't bring you any extra joy, then that is not a career. At least specifically something as altruistic to some extent as teaching is concerned. That shouldn't be your career path.
Correct. I understand. I completely understand your rationale.
I will try to
just change
mold it in a better manner.
Correct. Just change the language a little bit and say, look, and you don't dial down the fact that you got good reviews.
Okay.
Look. I've taught for 4 years, 5 years, and I got good reviews. I'm teaching, so I took it very seriously. I prepared well. I delivered well. I have no issues against it. Having said that, the prospect of taking the occasional class interests me, but an entire career in academia, I don't think that's my cup of tea. And that's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. But don't dial down your review. Don't say it was modest, reasonable. Say I did fantastically well. I put everything into it. I took it very seriously. I got good reviews. My students really like me. I would like to dabble in it. Wherever I go, if I'm in a company, if there's a training program, I would jump in because I like that. But I don't see myself building a career as a professor. In this, somewhere along the line, I want you to squeeze in one of the answers where if they ask you specifically, look, you're 31, and when you graduate, you're going to be 33, and you go do a summer internship, but when you're 32, you're going to be neither here nor there. They're not going to give you a boss's job. You're not going to be happy with an entry-level job. They're not going to have an incentive to create something in between for you. Where are you? So they're going to squeeze something in, or they want to hear that it is not such a big deal for you. So you've got to somewhere say, look, I spent 5 years in IIT Kanpur, and I spent 6 years in a college. To be very honest, I keep hearing this. I keep hearing that I'm a 31-year-old. I've dealt with college students for 11 years. If I go and be in an environment with 24, 25-year-olds, I think I'll fit right in. I won't find it beneath my dignity to report to a 28-year-old boss. I know my stuff. He knows his stuff. I have stuff to learn from him. Perhaps he has something to learn because I'm contributing in my job, not because I've done an economics PhD. And I would look to engage and do my job. The dignity of what I do, how it captivates me, how it interests me is important. And one thing I've learned through my entire research and learning days is there's tons of stuff to learn from people who are younger than you. And I'll not have any hang-ups reporting to a 27-year-old. And I think if given a context, nobody will ever feel like I'm I have a hang-up. I don't think I'll be a I will I don't think anyone will perceive an issue with me. I'm just looking for an opportunity to say that I'm that guy. But I know this point. I've had this. One of the reasons why I jumped into CAT and I wanted to do this is I want now this age issue is being held against me. And almost as if I can't speak the language of 24-year-old, 25-year-old. I've lived in hostels and campuses for 11 years. And I can go talk to a bunch of guys 6 years younger to me and blend in with them and speak their language and add to a team and take value from a team and quite be myself. I've never felt like anything was beneath me in any form, or reporting to a younger person was tricky. Never ever. And I can put people at ease. I've never had an issue with people. But one of the reasons, because of the slightly tricky situation I find myself in, that's why I needed a very powerful thing to break it down. And I go at my CV, they'll see a ton of what I've done, and I'm an out-and-out economics grad, and I struggle to find the kind of job that I really like, because they see me as a guy who's an economics grad first, second, and third. I don't blame them. I've done 11 years of economics. And I need something powerful to break down that door, because I know once I break down that door, I can fit in a corporate career and do really well. And I think that's the one thing that I'm looking for in an IIM or accelerated degree, where I have a compelling degree on top of my economics expertise, where they then say, oh, this guy is still left all that on the board and come back and done an MBA along with a bunch of guys 8 years younger to him. Why will he not fit into my place? I know I can fit in. I know it's not an issue, but I've had a tough time convincing the guy sitting on the other side. And I think that an MBA degree will do that for me. And I think it'll be a good change to my system. I've enjoyed academia, no doubt about it. But I think I'm temperamentally someone who likes the idea of getting hands dirty, being involved in something that's real time, being something that not completely just intellectually stimulating, but also with a practical implication. I like the idea of the intellectually stimulating gig, no doubt about it. So I've done 11 years of that, but I think I can step beyond that. And I've seen, I see where the slight little bit of skepticism comes. I've seen several people in academia who would rather not venture out into the corporate world. But I'm simply not like that. I can't wait to go work in a job and do stuff where I bring in my knowledge and research and ability to process and analytical skill, all of that to the table, but speak to customers, talk about valuation, talk about trade, talk about consulting project, talk about something that day-to-day impacts a P&L and a balance sheet. I have that ability to definitely straddle these two worlds. And one of the reasons why I took double down into CAT is because I have faced this problem. I know that every time someone sitting across me is looking at my 11 years of economics, they're saying, will this guy fit in? And I want a powerful part to tell him, look, you could have asked this question 2 years ago, but now I've done MBA with my median age, my group being 7 years younger. I've blended in. I've quite enjoyed myself. I've learned tons of stuff. I had never learned any marketing course in my life, but I did 6 electives. I enjoyed myself. I'll fit right in. Don't worry about it. And in order to be able to communicate that very clearly, that's why I want to do this. I can handle the maths and statistics and econometrics and accounts and finance. I've done that. I know that. But I feel like I'm more ready. I'm completely ready to straddle this other world and to communicate that I can do this other world, which is also one of the reasons I want to do an MBA, because they're going to ask you this. This is one.
Yeah, no. There's two questions I always get. So one, like the question is why MBA, and that comes after when I tell them that I did my PhD and I did not finish my PhD. So like in a sense, these two combined normally goes well. I think of all the interviews I've given, my Bangalore interview lasted about 45 minutes. that was one interview where the discussion went like just as you and I had. So it was more of a less of an interview, more of a discussion. They actually delved into my research topic. They had a very good idea about what kind of profile my was. So they actually spent a lot of time because in the previous two interviews I had given, one Rohtak and Cap, they pretty much took my cue from what I introduced. So they basically, okay, your economics and neither of them bothered with touching either economics or my research, nothing. First person asked me about farm laws, and we had in my Rohtak interview, it was 25 minutes. Out of it, 15 minutes was spent on discussing farm laws, and then budget, and then they were done. In CAP, it was a 12-minute interview, introduction done. They discussed farm law, budget, and at the end, they asked me that what kind of career you are looking for. That's it, nothing. That is pretty much how it went. Lucknow was a technically a stress interview. So like basically I started telling that I did, and then they told me that you are a quitter who shouldn't be shouldn't be allowed anywhere near business schools. And they spent the next 10 minutes telling me exactly that, and I was trying to convince them. And then they said like, okay, so I guess we have to just agree to disagree. Thank you for the. I was like, what happened? I was like, what happened? So like I was like, come on, man! Like no interview has gone like this manner. So but yeah, that is how it went.
Okay.
Except,
So, when you're answering it, it doesn't look like you're cooking up something. You're calling a spade a spade. You're clear. You're saying, look, you went out of your way to say, but they told me that it doesn't look like you've done anything different. But your output has dropped off due to something else, and it just didn't fall in place. My research ideas didn't find, and stuff happens in a PhD, and you're not coming out as bitter or someone who says, "Look, pata nahi kya ho gaya, I don't know what I'll do." Nothing like that. You're just saying, "Look, that thing is done. I'm going to do the new thing." Only thing I wanted to change in tone was to try to make the MBA thing.
So like a more likable thing rather than like a last option somebody has got and then you get it.
Correct.
Okay, I will
correct,
do
correct,
that.
Correct. Just keep that. I mean, just a tone thing, just to change the flavor of it.
Today, when I was talking to you, I kind of realized at the very end, and I was like, okay, it's too late to change, but in future, I will not do that.
And also, when you're doing that, weave this in. When you're saying, look, I went and looked at a job. Why do you want to do an MBA thing? Weave it in and say, look, I need people look at my. I mean, I'm an academic. I've done 11 years of economics. I'm looked at as an academic. Therefore, there's a natural skepticism whether I can straddle this too. I'm capable. And this people say, look, how will you report to a 27-year-old? And that's the last thing that would bother me. That is an absolute last thing that would bother me. If he's a boss, he knows what he's doing, and I can learn something from him or her. I'm going to go in and learn and enjoy and do my job. I don't care how old a person is, and that's not a variable for me. And I think I can completely blend it. I've been in college campuses for 11 years. I can go in and pick up the pieces. Good work. I can do justice to what is asked out of me. I'm happy. You set your stall out and say, look, age no bar.
Exactly.
And say, look, I'm looking to do this. I know that I can do the hardcore number crunching and doing the building a financial model and validating it and checking it, back validating it and building algorithms. All that I can do, and I'm chomping at the bit to do the other things. I know that because I can do this really well, it doesn't mean I can't do the other thing. I know I can, but I need a powerful signal to communicate that I can do that, which is what drew me to CAT. Not even to the to prove myself and to communicate that, hey, I can do that and this. You should take a punt on me. In some senses, that acknowledging the fact that it is kind of a punt, mainly because your one shoot is so strong. Anybody who recruits you and pays you like 40% more than entry level is going to feel peeved that this guy's worth so much, but I can only give him this. And they won't even accept if you say, look, I'm not going to be peeved. So that's going to be an issue. So you can spin that and say, look, I want to communicate that I can straddle both worlds very clearly, which is also one of the reasons why I wanted to do an MBA, which is completely fine. I didn't want to go. A lot of what I had written in economics was interesting. I didn't want to go down there because I thought, like, look, you have it covered. Let's discuss this.
Okay. Exactly. Yes. That part I had. So in most of the discussion, if somehow my discussion goes into economics, I am the lucky one where I know the myself. Because one thing I know well enough, like irrespective of like how much interest the professors might have in my area, there is very extremely low chance that they will know my research better than mine. That part I am covered. Basic economics I am also studying, and basic maths and finance I'm also studying right now. So that part is also covered. But most of the questions, most of the time when the interviews are having a major chunk of interviews are like the interactions I had with you. So on topics on my motivation, why I want to do an MBA, what interests me, hobbies, these things.
Dude, I would never ask anyone to be less honest. Be honest, but clearly outline everything has gone by. But make MBA way more than a default choice. Finally, I'm here.
So like more MBA like should come out as something I have an ambition for. Correct. And I really want it. So that is why it is not. So it is not the last choice option.
Correct.
So I will do that.
And you're clearly saying that when I went for jobs is when I realized that they're doing it. Which you can even weave that in and say, look, they're looking for a guy who can bring something to the table beyond academic rigor. Yes. And I think an MBA can communicate that really well. I know I can deliver it, but they're not willing to take a chance on me right now. And I think therefore an MBA also plays into that. Yes. And say, look, I want to, your answers about, look, I want to learn about operations, finance, and that intrigues me. That is curious for me. That's also fine. But you can even pitch why MBA up early as a powerful signal that you want and require, which is just true for great many people. That is what it is. Yeah. And then you say that I look at my career and what I want to do professionally. It's to have a long and fulfilling corporate career, and I've gone this route of an academic career of long, and in the context that I'm not going to continue in academia. I want to come back to a corporate career. I have to demonstrate to any potential recruiter that I can straddle the academic rigor, mathematical intensity, economic, deeper understanding world, and the realities of a day-to-day market or a trader or a pricing or a consulting challenge. And I think an MBA both gives me the knowledge to do that, and it's an extremely powerful signal to get that job. Why I'm saying signal? Because I think I can do it, but right now they're not going to believe. When I went for looking for a job, they were not willing to take it up on that. Then it's a whole thing. And
exactly. So like one question I had to ask, like often this is also like, this is kind of the story I told most of the places, but I was told that you should never pitch like in a sense that you are doing an MBA for a job, even though that is the reason why I am doing it. Primary reason I am doing it.
Don't worry. But what else is there? I mean, most people, MBA is a route to a job.
Exactly.
A tiny few are passionate about entrepreneurship. They want to do and become.
Yeah.
And even tinier few think of it as an academic thing. It's not even like an engineering degree
it's not. So that's my point. So like in an MBA, I get that. So you learn a lot, but I think a vast majority are there either to switch careers or to improve their job, something of that sort.
Definitely. It's a completely, or it's a vocational degree.
Exactly.
To do the degree to get a job. Be unapologetic about it. No need to sugarcoat the idea that you want a job at the end of it.
Exactly.
Don't. It's completely fine.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Lovely. All the best. Keep fingers crossed and we'll see everything is done. Best wishes for you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you again for the interview.
Okay.